At the beginning of 2024, I thought I needed a perfect plan. What I actually needed this year was something completely different. And once I figured it out, everything shifted. If you have ever felt like you're doing a lot, but moving slowly, this recap is for you. This is Dr. Christiane, and today I'm sharing my year-end recap. Before we dive in, here is what you can take away from this episode. First, you'll hear the quiet shifts that actually changed my year, not just the highlight reel. You'll learn why small, intentional steps are more powerful than big, dramatic changes. And you'll see how celebrating progress while you're in motion can actually make everything feel lighter and more sustainable. This year surprised me. Not all at once, but in a steady, quiet way that only became clear with distance. I walked into January with a detailed plan. The kind that actually looks productive on paper and makes you feel like you are in control. But the real growth didn't come from that plan. It actually came from tiny decisions I made on days that felt uncertain, scattered, or simply human. There were early mornings when I wrote before anyone was even awake. Afternoons filled with students, coaching, also sessions and creative work. Evenings where I questioned whether the ideas I cared about would actually reach people who needed them. And without realizing, this year developed a theme: clarity. Not the dramatic kind, the everyday kind that shifts your life one steady step at a time. I kept asking myself one question: what matters right now? Not someday, not after this session, now. And that question reshaped everything. My book, my TEDx talk, and more importantly, my classroom. But lastly, of course, it also shaped my coaching and how I lead and create. And one clearest example of that showed up during my TEDx talk and during the preparation of my TEDx talk. Before my talk, I sent a simple email to my neighbors with the subject line, "Quick favor, practicing my TEDx talk." I wrote, "I'm giving a TEDx talk to an audience of about 1,000 people, and I would love to practice my 10-minute talk with a friendly audience. If you're around this weekend, I'm happy to come to your house, or you can come to mine, and we can meet at the park. It's truly just 10 minutes, and it's a fun, light talk." And then I did the most important part. I hit submit before I actually overthought it. And then I waited, wondering if anybody would actually reply. Within a few hours, responses started coming in. Some neighbors just wanted to have me over to their house. And they even invited me to come directly to their house and prepared a nice little get-together. Others just replied, "Come on by. I would love to listen to your talk." And that's when I realized something. I hadn't just invited them to watch a talk. I had invited them into the process. Over the next few days, I started what I now call TEDx Caroling. I walked through my neighborhood carrying a printed copy of my talk. I practiced in driveways, on porches, in living rooms, outside doctors' offices, on benches in the park, 10 minutes at a time, with whoever who was willing to listen. One afternoon, I visited a group of older women who turned it into a special event. Their living room was gleaming. It smelled like cinnamon and cookies. They handed me a glass of sparkling apple cider and told me to stand in the middle of the room and give my talk. And I began speaking, a little nervous at first, but then more steady. And they watched me with warmth and curiosity. It felt really special. And when I finished, they clapped softly and laughed with delight. In that moment, I understood something really important. TEDx Caroling wasn't just about preparing for the TEDx talk. It was actually practicing courage. Every driveway, every living room, every small audience was a repetition. I wasn't waiting for the red dot, for the final big event. I was actually treating the process as worthy of celebration. So when I finally stood on the stage, on that red circle, under the bright lights, in front of 1,000 people, I wasn't afraid. I had already spoken this message in kitchens, on driveways, on sidewalks, in front of neighbors and friends. The stage was just another living room. And this experience shifted how I think about growth. We often treat celebrations as something that comes after the success. The party at the end, the toast once everything is finished. But what if celebration is meant to be part of the practice itself? Behavioral science actually back this up. Small rewards reinforce habits by activating the brain's reward system. Every time we pause to acknowledge effort, we teach our brain this matters. Keep going. We close the loop between intention and reward and progress when it starts to feel natural instead of forced. Celebration in that sense isn't self-congratulation, it's self-trust. So in economics, we talk about the compound interest, small, consistent deposits that grow over time. Praise works exactly the same way. Each time a small acknowledgement becomes an emotional capital. Over time, those tiny moments of "I'm proud I did that" or "I showed up even when it was hard," they add up to a quiet, solid confidence. This year, I felt that compounding effect. Every neighbor who listened, every student who took a risk, every entrepreneur who shared their story. That's when every time I celebrated the progress instead of waiting for the perfect outcome. The research I learned on this echoes that. Deloitte found that people who practice micro-clarity, short intentional decisions, are more effective in complex environments. McKinsey reports that clarity of priorities improves performance across teams. And other behavioral research shows that small, consistent shifts always perform big one-time efforts, almost every time. In other words, the science matches what my life keeps showing me. Small steps don't just need to feel good. They actually work. They are measurable, repeatable outcomes directly useful in classrooms, in teams, and in real lives. And this year reminded me that small intentional steps only look small when you're inside them. Later you realize that those small steps were actually the foundation, the momentum, and the invisible moments where you quietly decided who you were becoming. I watched my students take bold risk. I watched entrepreneurs step into their voice. I watched people choose clarity over perfection and progress over pressure. Those moments changed me too. So as we close this year, here's the truth I'm taking forward. You don't need a flawless plan to change your life or your work. You need one petite step. Taken consistently, taken with intention. Taken because you are building a life that reflects who you are becoming. That's the approach I'm carrying into next year. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for your trust and your willingness to grow alongside me. And thank you for showing up, not just for the highlight reel, but for the real work. Before I close, I want to leave you with 3 simple strategies that help me the most this year. Ask, what matters right now? At least once per day. This one question really cuts through the noise faster than any other strategy. Second, choose one petite step each week and repeat it. Because repetition builds capability and capability builds confidence. And third, at the end of the day, take a moment and notice what went well, what worked today, what felt heavy. What small shift could I improve tomorrow? This type of reflection, let your observation be enough. And this is how you turn experience into growth and motion into momentum. So let's build something meaningful together. in the year ahead. This is Dr. Christiane, and I'm grateful you're here.